Welcome to Mr. English Cafe. Imagine you're walking into a crowded coffee shop. Suddenly, you trip. Your face turns red, and you're sure every single person is staring at you, thinking about how clumsy you are. You replay that moment in your head for the next 3 days. But let me ask you, do you remember what the person next to you was wearing yesterday? Do you remember if anyone else tripped? We often feel like we're on a stage, but is anyone actually watching? Welcome back to the show. I'm Joe, and I am so glad you're here with me today. If you've ever felt paralyzed by the fear of judgment, or if you've ever stayed quiet in a meeting because you didn't want to sound stupid, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving deep into the spotlight effect. Before we jump in, if you find this helpful, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps our community grow so we can keep sharing these heart-to-heart talks. Now, let's get into the psychology of why we care so much and how to stop. In psychology, the spotlight effect is the belief that people are noticing our mistakes much more than they actually are. We are the center of our own universe, right? So, we naturally assume we are the center of everyone else's universe, too. I remember my first day at a new job. I had a tiny coffee stain on my shirt. It was the size of a coin. I spent the whole day covering it with my hand. I didn't speak in the lunchroom because I was sure everyone was judging my messiness. At the end of the day, I asked a colleague if she noticed it. She looked at me, confused, and said, "Joe, I didn't even notice you were wearing a blue shirt, let alone a stain." We do this all the time. We worrying about that one stupid thing we said in a conversation. Our hair not looking perfect, making a small mistake during a presentation. But here is the truth, and I say this with love. People are too busy thinking about their own stains to notice yours. Everyone else is also in the middle of their own movie. When you realize that most people are distracted by their own insecurities, it's actually very freeing. You aren't being judged. You're just being missed, and that's okay. I want to share a quote that changed my life. It comes from Olin, an American writer known for his sharp wit. He said, "You probably wouldn't worry about what people think of you if you could know how seldom they do." Miller was a radical realist. He understood that humans are naturally egocentric. We see the world through our own eyes only. When he says people seldom think of you, he isn't being mean, he's being liberating. He wanted us to realize that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. If you realize you are just a background character in someone else's day, you stop performing and start living. There is also a beautiful book called The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumite Koga. It's based on the work of Alfred Adler. One of the biggest lessons in that book is the separation of tasks. Adler argued that what other people think of you is their task, not yours. You cannot control their mind. If you spend your life trying to make everyone like you, you are living their life, not your own. The book says the courage to be happy also includes the courage to be disliked. It teaches us to stop looking at life as a competition where we are above or below others. Instead, imagine we are all just walking on a flat path together. No one is the judge, we are all just travelers. So, how do we actually dim that spotlight? Here are 3 deep steps to help you improve. 1. Test the theory, the reality check. Next time you feel embarrassed, become a social scientist, look around. Count how many people are actually looking at you versus how many are looking at their phones or staring into space. You'll find that 99% of people are focused on their own internal movie. Logic kills the fear. 2. The 1 week rule. Perspective shifting. Our brains make small mistakes feel like catastrophes. Ask yourself, will this matter in 1 week, 1 month? Most cringe moments have a shelf life of about 20 minutes. Don't let a 20-minute mistake ruin a 24-hour day. 3. Practice self-compassion. The mirror technique. The spotlight is fueled by your own self-criticism. If your best friend tripped, would you call them a failure? No, you'd help them up. Talk to yourself with that same kindness. When you are okay with yourself, the opinions of others lose their power. To wrap things up, the spotlight is mostly in your head. As Olin Miller suggested, people are far too busy with their own lives to spend time judging yours. You are allowed to be imperfect. You are allowed to be human. The world is much kinder and much more distracted than you think. The most important opinion of you is your own. Don't let the imaginary judgment of others stop you from being who you are. Thank you for spending time with me. We talked about Olin Miller's Realism, Adler's separation of tasks, and how to be your own best friend. Before you go, I want to ask you a deep question. What is one thing you've wanted to do but haven't because you're afraid of what others might think? Tell us in the comments. I'd love to support you in taking that first step. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. You're doing great, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us. In this podcast, you've learned the following. Let's read aloud. You probably wouldn't worry about what people think of you if you could know how seldom they do. You probably wouldn't worry about what people think of you if you could know how seldom they do. You probably wouldn't worry about what people think of you if you could know how seldom they do. The courage to be happy also includes the courage to be disliked. The courage to be happy also includes the courage to be disliked. The courage to be happy also includes the courage to be disliked. Catastrophes. The flood was one of the worst natural catastrophes in the country's history. Please stop turning minor setbacks into mental catastrophes. Losing his phone felt like a catastrophe because all his work files were on it. Cringe moments. We all have cringe moments from high school that keep us awake at night. Looking at my old-fashioned choices always leads to some serious cringe moments. It was a total cringe moment when he told a joke and nobody laughed. Self-compassion. Practicing self-compassion can help you recover from failure more quickly. Instead of being hard on yourself, try to show some self-compassion. Self-compassion means accepting that everyone makes mistakes. Spotlight. The actress has spent her entire adult life in the spotlight. The news scandal put the politician's private life under the spotlight. He hates being in the spotlight and prefers to work behind the scenes. Self-criticism. Constructive feedback is helpful, but excessive self-criticism is harmful. She struggled with constant self-criticism regarding her physical appearance. You need to balance self-criticism with a bit of self-praise. Imperfect. We live in an imperfect world, so don't expect everything to be flawless. It's okay to be imperfect. That's what makes you unique. She gave an imperfect but heartfelt performance that moved the audience. Imaginary judgment. Don't let the fear of imaginary judgment stop you from trying new hobbies. Most of our social anxiety is fueled by imaginary judgment from strangers. She finally felt free when she realized that most imaginary judgment was just in her head. Feel free to read it aloud. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below.